Welcome to Woman on Her Path. Every woman has her own unique path. But what does that mean? How does said woman know what her path is? How does she find the courage to follow her path? I am your host, Tiffany Cooper. I am a mother, energy worker, community herbalist, and bhakti yogi. By sharing my experiences and insights on my path, I hope to inspire and encourage you on yours. When we follow our path, we find the answers we need in life. Let's find answers together and create a better world for ourselves and those around us. Well, hello, lovely lovelies. We are together again. Another episode of Woman on Her Path. I hope since the last time we were together, you got to do something enriching for your soul, for your health. And speaking of health, woman, how are you taking care of your health? How are you taking care of your health? In order to stay healthy, we must take care of the body and of the mind. So often we are told that we must eat right and exercise to take care of ourselves. But in that, we miss a very important aspect of our health, our consciousness. The way that we think and feel about our health and the way that we live our lives are primary facets of the entire gem of our physical well-being. If we are not conscious of our food choices, then what we eat brings low levels of energy to the body and mind, rather than nourishment and sustainable energy. Our food is our physical and mental medicine. Everything we eat affects us in a very profound way. Ayurveda, the science of life, was developed over 5,000 years ago in India. Ayurveda focuses on prevention of disease by keeping our physical and subtle energies in balance through lifestyle and diet. Ayurveda, like all ancient systems of health or medicine, recognizes that each individual has their own constitution. And to maintain health, we must keep the energies of our constitution in balance. Even Hippocrates, who we call the father of modern medicine, observed this. The practice of Ayurveda is utterly elegant. A holistic approach to our health makes so much more sense than the modern medicine approach of separating the body into parts and just treating symptoms. This is effective and necessary for emergency or acute situations, but it does not speak to a person's overall well-being. The most effective thing for all of us is to maintain our health and prevent it from getting to the emergency or acute stages in the first place. It is much simpler and much less expensive to do so. And of course, in order to do this, we must change our perspective and gain new respect for our bodies and our minds. We need them to function well to live at our optimal. Our quality of life absolutely depends on it. They are our vehicles for our precious spirit souls. Our Sanatan Dharma, our eternal purpose, cannot be fulfilled without them. So in today's episode, I got to have a fun and empowering conversation with one of my very special spiritual sisters, Sundari Dasi. Sundari is so inspiring and has written 2 recipe books based on Ayurvedic principles that are just amazing. She and her husband, Yogi Nataraj, have developed a powerful program of nutrition, fasting, and yoga that completely resets the body and the mind. Enjoy listening to this interview. I loved talking to Sundari because she is such a beautiful, light-filled soul. So hello, lovely listeners. Today I have with me a very, very special guest. I have with me Sundari Dasi. I'm excited to speak with her today because she is one of my spiritual sisters. She's also a practitioner of bhakti. She is very knowledgeable in the area of nutrition and health. So Hare Krishna, Sundari. Welcome. Welcome to the show. I'm so happy to have you.
Me.
Oh, thank you for being here. So before we get started, I just wanted to give my own personal, informal introduction of you, if that's okay.
Yes.
Okay. So Sundari Dasi, like I said, is one of my spiritual sisters, and her husband is actually one of my teachers. He taught me extensively about mudras, and in the process of him teaching me, I got to see their beautiful children. So Sundari is the mother of 2 beautiful, beautiful little children. And she and her husband, Yogi Nataraj, have developed this powerful program of healthy eating, fasting, and yoga, which I had the pleasure of participating in, and the results were outstanding. Sundari has also written 2 books. One is called Food for the Soul, Diet of a Yogi, and the other is called Detox Delights. And they are both full of just delicious, healthy recipes. So Sundari, is there anything else that you would like to add about yourself, or anything that you want our listeners to know about you?
That was a very sweet introduction, and I think I would just add that I'm also a yoga instructor and also do Ayurvedic consultation, and both of them have been both the fields have been kind of self-empowering experiences, and I'm so happy to be on this show. And the topic and the title of your podcast is really made me very inspired to share more. So I'm ready to start off.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. So can you please tell us about your books? Because I love the recipes in them, and I've made several of them, especially from Food for the Soul. And I had such a wonderful experience when I did the Chandrayana fast with your husband. So tell our listeners about your books.
Yes, so Food for the Soul and Detox Delights are such a wonderful those both the books kind of complement each other in terms of first level of fasting, detoxing, and kind of rejuvenating your system. So Food for the Soul, Diet of a Yogi, has a very simplified approach in terms of the number of ingredients in the recipe, and the steps are very simple. And as you have been, you have done the fasting and you have gone through the book. So my main goal of that book was kind of giving a glimpse to the audience that nutrition, diet, and healthy, tasty food does not need to be so complicated.
Mhm, mhm.
And it is rather diet which is more simplified, or I would even say that pushing the boundaries of simplicity and still creating a very healthy meal on daily basis. So that was the main idea of the book. And the second thing was, we were rooted into the principles of yoga and Ayurveda. So, yoga and Ayurveda, just to give a little short, introduction, is that they both are based on the nature's intelligence, and the prime elements that constitute everything in the universe, including the human body, is earth, water, fire, air, and ether. So when our bodies are made of those five elements, and when we are trying to harmonize our diet, nutrition, and overall lifestyle, which in turn yields a healthy mind and intellect. So if you, as you did the Chandrayana fasting, the main quote was like, heal the mind, heal the body.
Mhm.
So both the sciences, referring to Ayurveda and yoga, say that your physical body is the extension of your mind. Put that in more simpler format, is your body is the extension of your mind. Any kind of good symptoms or bad symptoms, or a good feeling or a bad, the first thing that manifests in your mind, and then that reflects onto your body or your entire physiology. So at the same time, it is also said in even in modern nutrition, Chinese medicine, and the ancient wisdom of Ayurveda, it is said that stomach is the second brain.
Mhm.
An example of that is like, if you are stressed, angry, or having anxiety, people feel like, oh, I have a knot in my belly. I feel bloated. I feel acidic. I feel, and then the moment you have that emotions in your mind, and then you feel those symptoms, second brain is your stomach. Vice versa, you eat something, you eat a very spicy pungent food, and then possibilities are that you could experience fear, anxiety, and anger. And when you experiencing fear, and when you're experiencing like dullness or lethargy, you know like just sitting down, I don't feel like doing anything, I ate something which will just take my entire body's energy to digest. So my mind doesn't want to do anything because it's not receiving the hormones or the blood circulation or the energy circulation that my body needs to function. And this is just the work mechanism of your physiology. But put together on the external terms is that your feeling, the way you are feeling, is related to what you put on your plate or how you deal with your emotions. So there
Absolutely.
are there are two things, that you are trying to either, the first thing is to have the mindful approach towards how you digest the emotions. So in Ayurveda, it's not that you only digest food. It also talks about how do you digest your emotions and how you digest ama. So you have to see that, what do you pick on. Do you just pick on your emotion and identify with it and feel that way throughout the day? I'm depressed, my mind is throwing these ideas to feel depressed, and I click yes on it and I sit with it. But
Right, right.
if you can go over the mind and say no, there are n number of ways that I can say no, and I can do so many things which will make me more productive, enthusiastic, and creative.
Exactly. And that it's so important. That just reminds me of so much of what I always say as an herbalist is that we are what we eat.
Mm-hmm.
We are what we eat. Everything that we eat, everything we put into our mouths
Yes.
affects us in some way. And then from my energy work background,
Yes.
it's totally obvious that everything that we eat affects our emotions.
Yeah.
We're ingesting, someone else's consciousness if they prepared the food for us. And And like you said, we have to override the mind basically and say, I'm going to make another choice.
Yes.
I'm going to eat what's healthy, what's right for my body.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
now the question arises, how do I do it?
Hmm.
And what are my options? So I had those questions for myself in my life. I mean, really, life didn't get difficult until pregnancy, birth, and delivery. And I think many women would agree on this with me. And I'll tell you all, struggle is real.
Yes.
Struggle is real. If I'm an author of books and I am on diet and nutrition, it doesn't mean I did not struggle and I'm a superwoman. I'm just as ordinary as everyone is, but I took up the step to empower myself, and I took up the steps that I really wanted to be there for my kids, be there for myself, and live my life fullest. And my to go, which was holding my back, which was picking up every time I fall, was the diet, the cookbooks that I have written. They have been part of my life, and they have made me what I am today. If I wouldn't become very conscious about what am I eating, when am I eating, how am I eating, um, you know I would be in the same sinking in the same soups of anxiety, depression, fear, or whatever you name them. The society and the present scenario and everything is kind of filled with those constant reflections popping up in your life or in your mind, and you have to be on top of everything, kind of deleting them and still surface with your own light, because the yogic scriptures, the scriptures of bhakti and Ayurveda also determine that you are an illuminous, enlightened, bright spirit soul. In your light, there is no, like, your identity. You cannot be in darkness because you're light by yourself. So,
Exactly. Yes. Yes.
yeah. And then we have to make conscious approach towards diet. So food for the soul, diet of a yogi, was my own journey after my first pregnancy and birth. And being a kapha predominant, vata, kapha, pitta predominant, my janma prakriti, like these are some ayurvedic terms, but just
Right.
to break
Yes.
down,
Okay.
yeah, just
Thank
to
you.
break down, yeah, just to break down is I tend to have earth and water elements predominant in my bodily constitution. And to explain that, which means that I could hold on weight very easily, and
Thank
I
you
could
for
hold on
explaining.
heaviness and lethargy very easily. So I need to have diet and lifestyle which would pacify these symptoms and give me good digestion and metabolism. So the first book, Food for the Soul, has Ayurvedic teas and chia detox. Chia basically means strength, energy, and in the Ayurvedic sciences, it is a three dosha balancer, which means it can balance all the elements within the body, and it is a tissue builder ingredient. It builds tissues in your body,
Mm.
it repairs. And that is a one, that's why whoever comes, joins the fast, most of them within 1 week, they would text me and or call me and say, I notice a difference in my skin. I notice a difference in my overall digestion. I do not experience that acid reflux or all those symptoms, and I feel more clean inside. And
Absolutely. That's what I experienced as well.
yeah,
I didn't have digestive issues before,
yeah,
the, but I always, with every fast, I always experienced the skin clearing up, but this was different. This
yeah,
was more of a glow, and I had so much energy.
yes.
It was really beautiful. Yeah, I had a lot of energy, and I also felt I lost inflammation. That was the important thing.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I wasn't achy after practicing yoga.
yeah,
You know, I felt when you talked about tissue building, it just reminded me of how I felt this sense of lubrication in my
yes,
body. I didn't
yes,
feel like my body was dry or
yes, yes.
creaky or any of those things. So
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
yeah. So though that was the reason I chose, and the recipe is so, like, it is so simple, but it is so interesting. I'll tell you the details of putting the chia seeds, the lemon juice, and the fresh fruit puree and the maple syrup together. People are like, oh, can
Oh.
I use stevia? Can I just use honey? Or can I just use, so many different alternatives of sweeteners, and they're all like, even that is no sugar. And I said, no, when you are detoxing and fasting and you are keeping away from excess solids and, heavy cooked food and carbohydrates, you wouldn't struggle with anything other than minerals in the body, mainly potassium and magnesium. And that is one complaint when people go on a detox fast or any kind of other fast, is like, I can't sleep, I have cramps in my body. I feel like I have no energy. I feel lightheaded. I feel. So when you add maple syrup and the lemon, you give all those electrolytes and minerals that body needs, and chia seeds makes you full. And just like you pass water, you drink water, it just goes through, and you have to pee. But when you take chia seeds, when they are soaked in water, so they blow up like twice or thrice in size, they hold that water.
Mhm.
And that slimy, that whatever the texture of chia seeds is, the moment it goes from your esophagus and throughout your digestive tract, it pulls out all the toxins and all that heavy undigested food within your system, and it throws it out. So within a week, you kind of renew, you kind of feel like a new person, because you have like months and years of toxins and free radicals sitting in your system, and that kind of goes out of the body and you feel so fresh. And then we have those Ayurvedic teas and healthy snack options, and then all those, the soup section,
Mm,
nice
yes.
soup section. And then there is some post fast interesting recipes like blueberry pudding made with
Mm.
black rice and the mung the mung protein wrap and other things. So, and they are so simple to follow, and that was the main idea. The main idea was simplicity.
Well, not just simple to follow, Sundari. They're actually delicious. You know, like
Yeah.
every recipe in that book, it's simple to follow, but you manage to make them, everything is so good. And even with the tea, as you were talking about the tea, and you were saying how sometimes people ask you to substitute, other sweeteners, the
Yeah.
that morning, that, or the lemonade, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
is perfect the
Perfect.
way that it is. It's
It's
so
perfect.
good, and it's so refreshing.
Yes. Yes.
Mm.
And then we have those meal plan, and you make sure that you start with mint ginger, and you have mint kiwi, and mint is menthol. Mint is like it balances all three different kinds of body, again referring to Ayurveda. But at the same time, it is like anti-inflammatory. It has a post digestion effect. It means like even after you digest it out, you still feel the good effect of it. you
That's
know so
wonderful.
so
Yeah.
it's a very thoughtful recipes, and the plan and the diet, like I planned it through. Like I had so much in my mind when I was putting things together. So after your detox, and after you have the Chandrayana, the intermittent moon fasting, or you did the 21-day detox, or if you just did there are like, we had so many who have already done the fasting. They would just call, I just want to do one more just for a week. I just need a reset. I have 1 week of holiday, or I have taken 1 week where I have nothing to jiggle around, and I just want to be, taking care of myself. And they will go on 1 week fast, and they feel, I feel great. Body is telling me thank you.
Exactly. I did the
And
same
then,
thing. I extended a week.
yes.
Yeah.
And then comes the detox delights for diabetes and weight loss. So the entire book was written with the purpose, and also it was written to actually contribute to my husband's PhD thesis. So his thesis is based on insulin resistance and hormonal imbalances, mainly addressing the thyroid in men and women. And we are going to use Ayurvedic diet and yoga practices to show that how these two elements, incorporated in your daily life, would harmonize all the imbalances. it is also something that I had so many questions when people did the Chandrayana and the detox fasting and everything. They said, okay, now we did the fasting. Now we want to eat, but we don't want to go back to eating the way we were eating. So,
Yes.
and I was like, yes, I need to have recipes which are wholesome, sumptuous, and good eating, but still, like, you're not going to gain a lot of weight. You're not going to push back the same buttons and feel the way you were. So the book focuses, it has no rice, no wheat, no sugar, corn, and also eliminating a lot of nightshades mentioned in Ayurveda. And it's going to be a wonderful book. It has like if you go through the book, it has a good introduction on understanding what is your body type, and then it makes a combination of recipes as like anti-inflammatory. It is going to boost your immune system, reset your digestive system, because the amount of herbs and spices and the combination of millets or barley, moong dal, sprouts, and like microgreens and different kinds of healthy legumes and some superfoods. A lot of superfoods are there in the book, and that is like going to be a wonderful 100% nourishment guide. So they both kind of complement. So you first do the food for the soul and you follow that, and then the next step is detox delights. And then I have two more projects coming.
Oh, wow. I can't wait to hear about those. Okay, tell us, tell us,
Yeah,
tell us.
yeah, and as part of my occupation being an Ayurvedic consultant, I call khichdi to be the divine food.
I love kitchery.
And
Okay.
there are so many interesting elements to be added to catering different kind of symptoms or different kind of bodies, and you have a balanced meal.
Hmm.
So, our beloved spiritual teacher and master and acharya A.C. Bhaktivedanta Prabhupada gave us the divine khichdi food, and so I went on a 30-day khichdi diet, and I documented all the pictures, and they are so simple. Like every recipe would just have 5 lines,
Oh, wow. Okay, so
but
this is going to be a
yeah,
book.
this is going to be a book.
Oh my
Yeah,
goodness, I can't wait. I did a 1 week kitchery fast, but I haven't,
yeah.
you did 30 days. Okay, tell me
30
more,
day,
tell
and
me
it's
more.
all simple, but it's not rice every day. It's this different different sprouts and grains and millets and different legumes. It's like different things put together. And the reason you call it khichdi, because the main concept in eating holistic is like your meal shouldn't be dry, oily, or spicy, pungent, or salty. It should be soupy, hydrated, soaking into it, and you add a little bit of ghee, and then that's how you feed. You get you get your gut health, you get the nourishment because the grains are fully cooked,
Hmm.
they are nice and tender, and then because it has also has its the juices, like when you boil into it, all the juices which is, and then your grain is soaking into that water, so that water itself is so good for the guts. So
Mm,
good, like it's
okay.
it's like if you get into Ayurvedic sciences, like khichdi is the divine food.
Oh, that's
So I'm going to,
wonderful.
yeah, I
I'm
it's
looking forward.
yeah, and it is so simple, but if you would learn the glories of it and what it does to your body, what do you call, action with acknowledgement yields more results.
Hmm. Hmm.
So
Yes.
when you feed yourself that how good it is, then you would make a whole lot of difference when you're cooking and eating it. So that, and then one is, it's been this project has taken a long time. It's how to introduce superfoods into kids' diet.
Oh.
So that project is so big and it has so many elements, and I'm putting the Ayurvedic approach to diet and nutrition, and immunity and metabolism for the kids, young
Wow,
bodies.
that sounds
Yes,
amazing. And of
yes,
course, it's taken a while because you have
it's
so many
taken a
other
while.
things going on in addition to
Yeah.
raising two children.
Yes, and
But
that book is so close to my heart, and I've been working on it. I have recipes concluded, but I just want to like express to all the parents that superfoods is not an optional thing. The moment your child is ready, like, ready to eat, like 6 months and 1 year, so the Ayurvedic sciences have specified the amount of nutrition and which grains and what herbs. Like, there is so wonderful simplified tips, and that would be like a game changer for every new parent.
Mm.
So it took a long time for me to discover, but I want to present it. I wanted to, share this, and I'm putting that together. And it has so many elements of how, at this stage, what their diet should consist of as they are growing. They need calcium, they need, growing bones and growing minds. So how you fuel that and how you keep them full, and like thinking about kids having tantrums or fear or difficulty sleeping, and there are so many nature ways to try them.
Hmm.
And I'm sure one or two would definitely click, and you would say, oh yeah, I know what is his body type and what the body and mind needs,
Well, that.
along with environment, along with
Mhm.
environment, which also counts a lot. So yeah,
Well,
that is.
that sounds like an amazing project, and I can't wait for that one as well. My kids are, too old for that, which is fine, but I know many, many women would appreciate that. It's such a challenge when you have little ones
Yes.
to feed them properly. And if you can introduce superfoods to them,
Yeah.
it makes it so much easier. It's a lot less work. You can target specific things and
Yeah.
just,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that sounds incredible.
Yeah. And
Mhm.
the first 5 years are so crucial. So introducing that diet and feeding their taste buds, like you put some taste, and they are developing the taste buds. So then the idea is to have your children not to be very picky in eating, and they end up growing like that, and they will be like malnourished, or they're undernourished based on calcium or potassium or B12. That's like so
Mhm.
much of awareness needed.
Absolutely. And it's already so challenging,
It
to
is.
feed kids properly these days, especially here in the United States, because our typical American diet is not the best. It's not the healthiest.
Yes.
So now, thank you so much for telling us about the books that you've already written and the two projects that you're working on. They both sound very exciting. But now I'd like to switch gears. You've told us that you're working on something for children. But what about mothers, and not just mothers, but women in general? As we talked about before, we are what we eat,
Yes.
and our diets have such an effect on not just our physical bodies, but
Yeah.
our emotional states, our mental
Yeah.
states. And so, what do you think, or what would you say that we as women are not understanding or missing out on when it comes to nutrition?
Yes. When it comes to nutrition, the modern concept of nutrition is just about the vitamins, the nutrition, the fat, the carbohydrate, and what it gives to your body, the amount of calories and things like that. And since I'm into the sciences of yoga and Ayurveda, the nutrition aspect in my field goes beyond just nutrition. It goes into the energy transformation of what you eat, when you eat, and how you eat. So that has made me, like, I'll tell you honestly, that is one thing which fascinated me.
Mm.
I was like, oh my God, this science is mind blowing. And there is so much to play around and learn and feel the goodness of it. So that there is, I feel like your way towards your health and wellness is also like self empowering. Basically,
Mhm.
you're trying to find strength for yourself, and no better way than doing it by taking care of your subtle and the gross body, the subtle mind and your physical body. and addressing to those. And when you talk about nutrition, so you are, it's good. I mean, I don't defeat or deny the modern concept. It's needed, the gross elements of nutrition, carbohydrates, and is it giving you B12s, or is it giving you the omega 3s and omega 5s and everything? That is all needed. But think about, for it to go beyond on how you feel emotionally, mentally, intellectually, and talking about your natural way of creating and manifesting things in your life. So nutrition, I think we are missing for like addressing every woman and myself. That I think, if I let me just take myself as an example to
Mhm.
say that
Please.
what was I missing? So more than the food itself as nutrition, I was missing the conscious link between my mind and the food.
Hmm. Hmm.
That was one thing. And before you think of your nutrition, think if you are eating mindfully. Are you thinking what's on your plate? Or you're just ordering a food from restaurant and you're thinking this will nourish me. So before what you eat, or before you decide on your nutrition, you want to connect, have a healthy relationship with your food, and manifesting that nutrition with your own hands. So the first thing is, nutrition will not come from outside. You will manifest with your hands. That has been my journey, that I felt like, I need to make myself nourished, and I need to get into the science of what is happening within my body, and how do I change this for myself.
Hmm.
And of course, the practice of yoga and Ayurveda is definitely there. But the thing is, I made choices of bringing wholesome foods, wholesome ingredients, unprocessed, raw spices, raw grains and seeds, and then making all those things by my own hands. And now this might sound very overwhelming for some, that like feel like, oh, this is something too hard. It is hard in the beginning, but if you go with the plan, I always, even, with my children, I'm a homeschooling mom. And if I don't have a plan in place, I could end up in a chaos. But if I have
I,
a plan in place, I feel accomplished, nourished, fulfilled, satisfied. And, at the end of the day, it's like, you're tired, you struggle through doing everything, but in the end of the day, you feel that all those things that you went through were the cream and the essence of what your life is meant for.
exactly, exactly. And I can completely relate to what you said about having a plan. And because I remember when I kind of made the switch into being more conscientious about what I was eating.
Yes.
And like you said, in the beginning I felt overwhelmed. I thought, am I going to be able to do this? I mean, I was always, when my children were young, I always cooked. I cooked practically 7 days a week. I love to cook. It's one of my favorite
Yes.
things.
Yes.
And I was also raised, my family, I grew up in a family of cooks. So we always had home cooked meals. My parents and I would go out every once in a while for a meal. So it was always important to me. It felt like, to be a good mother, I had to cook, because that's how I was raised. But then when I made a more conscious decision to eat healthier,
Yes.
which is such a challenge in this country, I remember feeling overwhelmed and thinking that I couldn't do it. But once I set a plan, even
Yes.
if it was writing out my menu for the week,
Hmm.
and just having that plan and sticking to it gave
Yes.
me such a sense of accomplishment.
Yes.
And also knowing that not only had I stuck to this plan, but it's also going to help myself and my children in the long run.
Yes.
It's so worth it.
It is. It is so
It's
worth it.
so worth it.
Yes. And then coming back to nutrition, on different stages of women's life, it's going to be different.
Mhm.
So, thinking of, in the stage of puberty and you're just beginning, or, you are into the teenage, or, you are pregnant, or you're delivered, you're postpartum, or you are in the 40s. So there is like different levels, different stages of your life, and they need different levels or different, combination of nutrition for your mind and the body.
Mhm.
So I would say that it's very important to eat healthy meals, and I would, as being a vegetarian throughout my life, I never had issues with nutrition because focusing on cooked meals is very important, as lunch being your major part of the meal, and having cooked grains, legumes, and vegetables. And at the same time, there are some superfoods like soap nuts and flax seeds. And I will also emphasize on there's one grain which is called as kultil, or in English it is called as horse gram, and
Yeah.
it is said to have flavonoids and nutrition and all kinds of minerals and so many things. It is very glorified in the science that I am practicing, and they are soaked and sprouted. So those are few ingredients, to be specific, and making your own sprouts. And
Mhm.
if you would start that journey, you will just fall in love with it, like, and it will like rejuvenate your soul, like with your own hands you're soaking and you're seeing the sprouts and you cook them, so you nourish your mind first.
Right.
Body would
Yes.
definitely be nourished. So that is something very important. Do something which is going to nourish your mind. It's not about whether you like it or not like it. Now there are,
Mhm.
big debate in the modern. You have to do something you like it, like, a spa or a chocolate milk or things like that. Ah, the self care and the self nourishment, and like, how long will that take you? How about you design a life where you don't have to run away from it?
Exactly. Exactly.
How about putting your energy in manifesting something for yourself that you don't need a break from it?
Ex-
You know,
exactly.
and
Yes.
that is so essential, that instead of taking shortcuts which doesn't lead far, take the longer route and find yourself and manifest the nourishment for your mind and body that will, keep you happy and fulfilled. And in that state, your family around you will
Mhm.
also feel the vibrations. So I, I'll just give an example of myself. The day I am jittery, or I am, kind of not feeling, I'm little feeling fussy, and I'm not in my self, and I'm kind of disturbed in different emotions and things like that. And then I'm not focused on the external. Like, you have an energy, and it is going around you, and I'll see, soon my kids are behaving like me.
Exactly. Yes. Yes. Yeah, and not even just our children. I used to notice that when I would go out somewhere,
Yes,
it was like everybody was responding to my energy. I was responding to everyone else's energy.
yes,
And so whatever mood I was going out with, I was
yeah,
experiencing that mood and everything that happened to me.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And then, you attract the similar
Hmm.
energies, like, other people with the same, and then you attract it. So Sangha Sanjayate Kamaha, one of the wonderful verse of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that you're identified by your association.
Hmm.
So it just doesn't go with external people you're associating. It's the association of your own feelings that you pick up with. Like,
Right.
yeah, I'm depressed, I'm angry, I am frustrated, I am, you know, so I am. So, like, of course there is a situation that, it's depressing, but why should I feel it? Let me turn around.
Exactly. Yes. And you know
Why?
what, you just reminded me. I just want to read something that you just reminded me of. It's actually from the foreword of Food for the Soul.
Thank you.
Yes, that beautiful foreword that Bhakti Raghava Swami wrote.
Yes.
But I just want to read the first paragraph that he wrote because it ties into exactly what we've been talking about. And it says, first is food, first is character.
Mhm.
These two traditional Vedic maxims are essential components for a healthy body and mental equilibrium that will in turn help create a harmonious, happy family and social life. Alas, modern society has discarded these wise precepts, and we can now witness the results. Yeah, so if we're not being mindful
Yes.
about how we're living, what we're eating,
Yes.
our mental state,
Yes.
and therefore we're seeing the results in the world today.
Yes.
It's very obvious to all of us now,
It is. It
unfortunately.
is. Yeah.
Yeah,
And the
yeah.
main, again, coming back to nutrition, as that is the main focus of the question, is that the main concept of nutrition in Ayurveda is like rasayana, rasayana,
Mhm.
which would be rejuvenating your body and boosting your immunity, your metabolism, and everything. So, so the main rasayana, which would basically apply to everybody, is gritam, the ghee, the clarified butter. So I've been a vegetarian throughout my life, and it has been part of my life, most of my life, and I feel like it takes care of your gut, it takes care of your digestion, it takes care of your skin. Where the entire modern health system is no oil in your food and no oil outside, like it's all creams and moisturizers with like 50 ingredients in it. Like, why are they ending up here and they have to be on my skin? Can you just question that?
Right, the one organ that absorbs everything that we put on it.
Oh,
Goes right into our bloodstream.
skin is skin is considered as the one of the greatest inner intelligence resource in the body in Ayurveda.
Mm.
It has so much. It can tell you, what your body needs, and it can tell you what it wants to reject. You don't neglect how your skin is feeling. As if you are serious about your health and you're concerned about your nutrition, anything on your skin, just don't neglect. It's your inner intelligence trying to tell you something. It's oozing out something. It's trying to throw out something. There is some rashes coming on my skin, or some whatever you see. There is something that body is talking, and your inner intelligence, your physiology. That's the teachings of Ayurveda. Your skin is
Wow,
talking.
okay.
Listen to it.
It makes
So
so much sense. Yeah, I've experienced that myself.
yes,
Yeah, listening to what your skin is telling you is such a I've had some chronic conditions in the past that would definitely resulted
yeah,
in skin
yeah.
issues. Yeah, so
And skin is directly related to the liver, and
yes.
it's directly related to the liver, and liver being the main organ. Before you talk about nourishment, you talk about how your liver is doing. Because even
Exactly.
if you put the amount of protein powder, the whey protein, and all the nutrition, if your liver is not doing good, it
Yeah,
will do the other
everything.
ones.
Right, everything will be out of
Negative.
balance.
Everything will be out
Yeah.
of balance. So try to be in sync with nature, listen to the body, eat as much as possible natural foods. Natural
Mhm.
means they like you get the wholesome ingredients, you manifest it, they are without any additives or preservatives.
Mhm.
Because once you're having food with preservatives, it's like it's just going to be preserved in your body and just go out, because it's already cancelled the natural process of digesting, because it's meant for preserving. So this is what
Exactly.
something many people don't understand. So natural foods is what is very important for having optimum nutrition, and going towards the stages of life. You want to keep up with, especially as I said, gritam ghee is important for rejuvenation. And when I said oiling inside and oiling outside in the natural medicines of Ayurveda, it's like it talks about applying oil on the skin before taking bath, and also like those who have vata, like dryness imbalances within the body, taking coconut oil. It gives so many vitamins and it hydrates from inside. And then sauteing your vegetables with sesame oil when you have gas and bloating. So whatever you cook, and if you have those imbalances when you cook in that certain oil, sesame oil especially, then you get all the nourishment from
Mm.
your ingredients that you're cooking. So these are very simple tips where it's not just individual about nutrition, but how it is cooked and prepared or soaked or processed in a way that your body gets the nourishment.
Hmm.
It
Yeah,
just
that's
doesn't
amazing.
pass through you.
That's
When you eat,
beautiful.
yeah,
Yeah, and as you were speaking of the gritam and ghee, I was also remembering that you have such beautiful ghees
yeah,
on your website,
yeah,
which I will be sure to post a link to at the end on
yeah,
the show notes.
yeah.
I'll definitely put that in because you've got some beautiful products on the website.
Yes, and I worked very hard. They're made with very pure ingredients and all organic. And yeah, I have received very good reviews on so many who have been taking them. And yeah, each one comes with very potent herb and cooked in a traditional recipe where it makes the nourishment bioavailable. So that's
Mm,
another thing, in nutrition, that everything you find in nature is supposed to, like, I'm talking about food ingredients. They are supposed to serve different physical, mental functions of your body. But the
absolutely.
question is, they have to be made, cooked, or prepped in a way that it's bioavailable to your body and your system can absorb it. So that is an important aspect of nutrition.
Bioavailability. Yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yes. Having ghee, yellow mung dal, all organic, green gram sprouts. And whenever I get weak, like, there is one thing which is very much highlighted in today's health and wellness, that many people become deficient with B12, six and
Yes.
B12.
Yeah.
And it is a belief that only, having like a non-vegetarian diet would give you. To tell you that green gram, after like you soak and when you sprout them over 48 hours, they develop natural B12. They do have
Mm.
B6 at the first stage,
Uh-huh.
but after 48 hours, there is also ample amount of B12.
B12. That's
And
interesting to know. Can you
yes,
please just explain for our listeners what green gram is?
the green gram is like you get the yellow mung dal, which is without the husk. The same legume is in its original with the husk is whole green gram. So it's the
Hmm.
same family, but it's without the husk and one with the husk. And you soak them overnight, you rinse and you soak them, and again you rinse them, and then you sprout them. So there are many different ways of sprouting. The traditional method I mentioned in my book is using a cotton cloth, because sprouting needs dark environment. It should be dark, like, and then the cloth acts like the dirt and it feels the warmth and they start having those shoots. And when they are sprouting for over 48 hours, they have vitamin C, D, zinc, and B6. But when they go over 48 hours, they also manifest B12 and much more digestive enzymes. And I'll tell you, it has been part of my life for so long. And that's why it's there on my books. Because whenever I feel weak, and like I feel like I'm lacking energy and I'm not feeling that great, and I feel um, I need a boost, and I
Hmm.
would go on sprouts. And we cook them. You're not eating them raw. You have to saute them, because that's how the nutrition will be absorbed by your liver and further your guts, and how it goes well into the body. So that is one highlight, is the green gram, and the next one I mentioned was the horse gram. Well,
Hmm.
in Ayurvedic terms, it's called as kultil, and that is also another power grain. And these are two things. And as I mentioned, ghee. So these are some three highlights that I am always taking them on regular basis, and never been nutrition deficient. And
Mm.
hydration.
Yes, very
Hydration,
important.
that's another big topic. Sometimes you're not hungry or thirsty, you're dehydrated. So the
Hmm.
chia detox lemonades, or just, squeezing fresh lemon, lime, and little maple, and you would feel like, oh, actually, I just needed some hydration, and you feel back in energy. So you need to just closely listen to what body is talking.
Hmm.
Yeah, so
Exactly.
hydration is another important, because if you're not well hydrated, no matter how much amount of nutrition and foods and everything that you're eating, because the shrotas, the channels, the energy circulating channels of the body are dry, so they won't reach where they need to end up to make you feel good. So hydration is important.
My goodness. Well, thank you for all of those beautiful tips on how to keep ourselves healthy. I really appreciate it. And the science of Ayurveda is just amazing. It has worked out everything that we need to know to stay healthy so that we don't end up with illness or disease. I was just thinking a quote, I think it's an Ayurvedic quote, that if is wrong, medicine is of no use.
Yes.
And if diet is correct, medicine is of no need.
Me. Yeah, part of my work is, I would just change the diet of my clients, and I'm like, look, you don't need much medicine. And one of the verse in the Ayurveda, it is so interesting. I think everybody would be like so impressed. It says, "Aham aushadam," which means I am the healing herb. So when you take herbs, when you take all those Ayurvedic or dietary tips, or all those medicines, it is just to reinsure or just boost your own self healing mechanism. It doesn't mean you need them for lifetime.
Right.
You are the healing herb. If
Ex-
you believe, that means, if you believe within yourself, that is self empowering, isn't it? If you believe in yourself, and you believe, you trust your body more than the disease, anybody can fight cancer. You just, your thoughts, your food, your action, your intention, your purpose of living, if it is serving your higher self, cancer and diseases will die out.
Right, because the body knows how to heal itself. It's just that we need to keep it in a state of
Yes.
homeostasis, basically, where
Homeostasis. Yes.
that's all we
Yes.
need. That's what's so
Yes.
elegant about Ayurveda is it's not a system of healing, like Western medicine is all about healing what's wrong. It's about
Yes.
preventing
Yes.
preventing
Yes.
things from getting wrong in the first place or getting bad in the first place. So no, that's beautiful. That's so beautiful.
Yes. And
So,
the whole process, actually, the whole preventive measures, it's all based on your homeostasis. It
mhm,
believes that your body knows what to do.
right, right,
And it says that your balanced state is your good health. That means health shouldn't cost you millions of dollars. You should be naturally in a healthy state, is what is the belief of the practice.
right. And to get there, all we have to
Yes.
do is eat well,
Yes.
keep ourselves in a healthy mental state.
Yes. Yeah.
And both of those things are challenging at this time in our history. However, it's about prioritizing.
Prioritizing. Yeah.
Yeah, and focusing on what's really important, and the way that we nourish ourselves and the way that we nourish our families.
Yes. Yes. And especially for women.
Especially for women,
Yes.
especially for women, we have such our hormonal systems are so mysterious and complicated. What we do know about them is very complicated, and we
Yes.
don't know much about the hormonal
Yeah.
system at all.
Yeah.
But if we just continue to eat properly,
Yes.
then we don't have to know so much about it. We just have to eat properly, and our bodies will take care of themselves.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
really that
And that's,
simple. It's
yeah.
really
And
that simple.
it is that simple. And the greatest struggle is like, for each individual to themselves define what does eating properly and perfectly mean for them. So you have to
Hmm.
start your own journey. It's not about telling you what to do, how to do, because this is such a sophisticated science that it treats every individual as a special, unique self. Your system, your physiology, your consciousness is unique, and mine is also, it's different. It's all about tapping within yourself, knowing your mind and body, the way it is, identifying yourself, knowing your authenticity, your reality. And then if you're rooted into yourself based on how your mind and body and what it needs, and you go, if you come to that level, first you have to sink that deep.
Hmm.
Just living a very surface, people are busy comparing themselves with others. I mean, that itself is causing so many health and mind challenges. I mean, if you really have to even yourself, compare yourself with yourself.
Exactly. To
How
the
I
state you were
was,
in before. Yeah.
yeah, how I was 3 months ago, or, a year ago, and how am I today? Did I get better? Did I get worse? What went wrong? So even if you have to use the aspect of comparison, just still bring it to yourself.
Right, right. Which I think is the feminine energy way of
Yes,
doing things in the first place. Feminine energy is more about what's happening internally.
yes,
And that's what that's all about, is it's
yes,
looking at, myself, and where have I come, how far have I come from, like you said, 3 months ago,
yes,
rather than looking at other people, because as you said, we're all individual. Like I say in this show, every woman has her own unique path, and we all have our own unique constitutions.
yes,
We're all completely different from one another. And
yes.
I can't follow exactly what you're following or exactly what someone else is following, because it's not going to work for me.
No, because if you look at the garden, every flower is different. And if I try to look like you, when you look at the beauty of the garden, everything be so similar, right? But if you have so many different flowers, so you think of yourself, as women, like you are an individual, unique creation and a flower, and you add so much beauty around you.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And there's so much beauty and diversity. Like
Diversity,
when you
yeah,
look at the garden, like you said, when you look at a garden,
yeah,
if it's all just roses, yeah, that's beautiful. But
beautiful,
what about when you add in hydrangeas, or,
yeah.
lilies, or, all these
I
other flowers with it? My
yeah.
goodness.
Yeah, like Vegas is so dry, but I'm a big plant person. I have like I have so many indoor plants, and
Me
it's like
too.
silent love. I tell my kids, these are the children who never complain. They just they just grow.
Yeah.
They take my love and then they just grow. you know.
Hmm.
So just joking though. I love all my plants and my babies so much, but each of them has so much beauty and personality to it. So when you start comparing, you at the first step you just bypassed your own unique beauty.
Yes, yes. And we should be focused on our own, gifts and talents and beauties and abilities, rather than we miss out so much. We lose so much time and energy when we focus on someone else's, gifts and beauties, and
Yes.
all of those things. We miss
Yes.
out
No,
so much. We lose time on developing our own.
yes. And having an appreciating heart when you see something good, but not comparing, and also like, feel your gifts that you have is very essential in day-to-day life. Like
Mhm.
if I begin to think of, my friends or my cousins or, my relatives or my community, and I start comparing, the moment you do that, you stop living your day or your life or that moment you are in. So
Right,
that is
right.
also something, Ayurveda discourages, it
Oh, okay.
discourages.
Yeah.
Even in yoga, the Yoga Sutras, it also talks, there is one principle which says, coveting others, whatever the riches, or, they are
Right.
well, anything. So that kind of, blocks your own development.
Mm-hmm.
And it is an
Absolutely.
impediment in your growth. And as my journey, I think yoga was something which always helped me balance my hormones.
Hmm.
Being, in, a soul embodied in a woman's body. I love it. I really enjoy having that feminine and having those, qualities of creativity and motherhood nature that I, feel blessed to have the opportunity. But at the same time, I thrive to like constantly grow from the previous level and still grow to become the best version of yourself.
Hmm.
And I think, and everything that I do is part of that journey, to nourish my kids, to take care of the family, and to do what I'm trying to do. And honestly, I never intended to, like, I just started the page out of my interest. I just wanted to inspire myself, basically. So just capturing my pictures. I have no food photography skills, zero skills. It just came up. It just and I'm telling you, and it was just that I just wanted to rediscover myself. And every woman, whoever is listening, there is some point in your life through your pregnancy, birth, and postpartum that you feel like you're sinking. Like everything is stopped, and it's nothing bad. I mean, it's just the phase of life, and we have to find that happiness with the struggle, at the same time having the joys of parenting with the struggles that you face. But if you focus more on joy, then like you reduce the amount of stress that you might feel. It's about where
Hmm.
your focus is. It's
I
all
agree.
about
I
where your
agree
focus
so
is.
much.
you know and,
Yeah, yeah.
and you have to know, like the other day um, I was discussing with one of my friend, and I was telling them, the more you focus on how much hard work and stress, the bigger the size becomes. And it's like, that's all you see.
Hmm.
That's all
Hmm.
you see. And you have to see beyond that.
Absolutely. That's how I made it through
Ah,
motherhood, and especially as a single mother.
yeah.
And I'll tell you, once you get to the stage, which comes very quickly, the
Yeah.
days are long, but the years are short when you're
Yeah.
raising children. And one day you look up and your children are grown up.
Yes.
Everything has changed. And you look at them and you can be so happy with their development that you put so much work into.
Yeah.
And then you have so much more freedom in your own life.
Yes.
Everything changes. And then you have this opportunity to
Yes.
pursue what it is that,
Yes.
really speaks to you, what's really important, and pursuing your path, and,
Yes.
educating yourself in different ways, and pursuing spiritual life in a much deeper way
Yes.
than you
Yes.
were able to before. I mean, all of these things, we think that, during raising children, that it can be difficult at time, it's so long, but it's over in a blink of an eye. you know it
I know so many moms who are like, just like you said, like when the kids are older, they all said, you know what, just enjoy it because you're going to miss it later.
You do. I tell that is the first thing. And I know that's what you hear all the time when you have young children. People say, oh, it goes so fast. No, we're not just saying that. It really, really goes so fast. And then you look at your children and you think, oh my God, how did you get to this age? I remember when you were a little baby. And life just goes so fast, so fast. So you have to enjoy every moment of having small children. And think about it, childhood is the shortest part of our lives. So
Yes.
it needs to be appreciated when we can. I know sometimes we have those challenges, but
No, it's full. There's no dull moment. You're constantly on your feet. And, even when the kids are sleeping, you're constantly thinking and trying to make plans when they'll be awake, because you need to engage them, you need to feed them. So it's like, just goes on, and then you would miss it. So,
Mhm.
yeah. So the reason I actually wanted to always be around my kids and never wanted to like go like work. It doesn't mean I don't work at home. Actually, I work harder at home.
Yes, you do work at home.
But the whole idea was to do nothing and just be with my kids, and so much happened. So it's God's grace.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yes.
Well, I have one last question for you. Right. If you only had one thing that you could, like one piece of knowledge that you can impart on all of the women listening today.
Oh, for all of the women listening,
Hmm.
one piece I would say is in your struggle, find the joy.
Mm. Mm.
This is something that I do personally. Through my struggle, I find my joy, and that sweetness keeps me going. And I think it's just going on, and here I am. And I have a long way. I envisioned so many things to manifest for myself and my children. And through that struggle, in the beginning, which it seemed impossible, and I see a tunnel and a light at the end, and I know things are happening. So never run away from hard work and struggle. If you do, you're making your process even harder. So that is one thing that is something that I keep telling myself. You have to talk to your mind. You have to constantly talk to your mind, and treat it like a pet, or beat it with a stick.
Exactly.
I do that.
Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do that. I do that. I treat my mind, and I don't pick on everything. So yeah. And one thing is like mind likes to be lethargic, wants to tell you it's too much, but you would know the cream of life is doing and accomplishing and fulfilling and living what you want to manifest around you. So
Exactly. And it takes self-discipline. It just takes
yes.
self-discipline. Yes,
And
yeah.
self-discipline, I could find it through the process of bhakti, yoga, and diet of wholesome, nourished, and freshly cooked food. So that is just all different branches, and there is like each subject is so huge. We can have so so much more discussion. But yeah, that's the core, that don't run away from the hardship and struggle in your relationship, in your journey of your parenting, in your journey of what you want to do in your life. You have a dream, like be very practical, grounded, and don't run away from anything.
Mm,
And that is
yeah.
how I tell myself, and I think uh, it always works.
Well, that's beautiful. That's such a wonderful way to end because everything we've talked about today is about empowering women. All of this is about giving women the strength and power and confidence to not run away from struggles. So thank you so very much, Sundari, for being with me today. I'm so grateful that you could join me for the podcast. And I look forward to seeing what comes from you in the future with these two projects that you're working on. And of course, that's only the beginning. I know it's only the beginning for you because you have such a beautiful, pure heart and you work so hard at everything that you do. You're such an inspiration. So thank you so much.
You are such an inspiration, and you like such a sweet motherly figure for me, and I look up to you so much, and I'm really happy to be on the show. It was such a joy talking, and I think naturally so much more manifested talking, because it's like when you open your heart, your mind, and then you like so many things come out. And I like that. I really love that. And many times I one more thing, like if you are confused about something in life, or a situation, or something that is just over your head and you don't know a way out, what I do is I don't have a lot of friends, but I have very few, very few. And I would call each one of them. And when I put my mind, it's like, taking things out and putting in front of your eyes, and you go through it. And then you say, okay, yeah, now I know clearly what is my decision.
Mhm.
So always find, a woman, find another good woman friend, or possibly in the same stage of life, and you would really make so much improvement in your emotional health.
I
It's very
agree.
important. It's very important. There was this, I'll just end with a quick short story. There's this beautiful village, and every afternoon after the women finished their chores, like household work and cooking, they used to bring all their laundry by the riverside and wash their clothes every day. And while they're washing, they used to talk everything, just talk the heart out. It is good or bad, nobody's going to judge, like, talking about whatever the hardship, or the husband or anything, and they felt like so good, and they went back and everything was fine. And then there was washing machine introduced. So everybody
Oh.
stayed home. So
Hmm.
that social link, that
Yes.
just stopped. And soon everybody had more depression, more anxiety. And so human is a social being.
Hmm.
And the more we sit with the gadgets and iPhones, and that is a big crisis right now, and big pandemic, bigger than the COVID. So find your tribe. Important.
Hmm.
Find your tribe. It could be just 3 or 4. Find your tribe and stay connected, networking in that. And that will itself take care and put you away from, unnecessary, emotions or negativity, because you are you are you are a social being and you're getting that, and that's very important. And I think, yeah, I
Well,
have
thank you. Yes, thank you for sharing that. And I'll also add to that, that especially for women, that is such an important, we need one another. We need to support one another and encourage one another. And, as women, we understand what another woman is going through
yes,
on such a deep level. Even if we don't talk about it, our experiences are always so similar.
yes,
It's so important to have someone to
yes,
share those things with and to talk to. And like you said, to just by talking to
yeah.
someone, you start to work things out in your mind, things that may have been bothering you, or things that,
Mhm.
you've been struggling with for a long time. Just
Yes,
talking to someone who can really relate. And
yes,
that's why it's so important to talk to another
very
woman.
it is.
Yeah, yeah. So thank you so very much for sharing that as well. I really appreciate it.
Mhm.
And I hope that you will come back again when your Kitchery book is done, and
Yes,
anything else, any other projects that you're working on. I would
sure,
love to have you back to talk
sure.
about them again. And for those of you listening, in the show notes for this show, I will put links to Sundari's website, where you can check out the programs that she and her husband, Yogi Nataraj, have developed. Her books are also available on that website as well. And they have many, many wonderful courses. As I mentioned, I did the Mudra course with Gaur Nataraj, and it was phenomenal.
Yes.
So again, thank you for being here today, and I look forward to speaking with you again in the future. Right.
Thank you.
Haribol. Hare
I have a
Krishna.
blessed day, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you so much for listening to this show. I hope you found something useful. Like everything in life, we can take what we need and leave the rest. Please feel free to contact me with comments or questions at womanonherpath@gmail.com.